My unhinged BIL dumped paint all over me after the wedding ceremony, and his latest habit is to send me a picture of his pee-pee, so we'll make him pay the consequences. My husband, John, and his brother, Brian. To start, this all began a year ago, before the wedding. Brian had been a screw-up his entire life, but 2 years ago, he sobered up and moved in with his and John's parents. John's father owns a car dealership and is quite wealthy. John grew up quite rich but never liked that lifestyle and decided to become a nurse instead of working for his father. Brian started working at the dealership and has turned his life around according to John's parents. I had met a few times and he had creeped me out and was very inappropriate. He commented about my ass and even tried to grope me once, but John stopped him. I was very adamant before the wedding about not inviting Brian. John has a strong relationship with both his parents, and it's a reason why I admire him. So when John's parents would not attend, if Brian could not, I gave in and invited Brian. That is where everything went wrong. The wedding was amazing, but Brian devised a so-called prank. He found a half-full can of red paint in the church utility closet and thought it would be funny to dump it on me after the ceremony. When I went to the bathroom, he jumped around the corner and splashed paint all over my dress and me. I was hysterical and wanted to call the cops on Brian. John calmed me down and kicked Brian out of the wedding. A bridesmaid lived nearby, and I used her shower and she lent me a dress to wear. From then on, I have never talked to or been near Brian. John is very understanding, but he insists we go to his parents for Thanksgiving and Christmas every year. He will not budge and says that he cannot cut his parents out of his life. However, Brian still lives with his parents and attended Thanksgiving and Christmas together last year. I somehow got through both last year, never going near Brian and staying next to John the entire time. Last week I got sent an image of a pee-pee. Then a text followed saying, "I bet you mine is bigger than my brother's." I do not know how he got a hold of my number, and I was disgusted beyond all belief. I wanted to call the cops again, but John told me that would just allow for Brian to torment us more. Yesterday, I told John I would not attend Thanksgiving or Christmas with his family under any circumstances. John was very conflicted about the whole matter. He said that his parents are great people, and that Thanksgiving and Christmas are all he has with them. This has been the biggest strain on our relationship, and I can feel John and I moving apart. I do not know how to discuss this with John and need help. I have never done this before, and for the first time, I am going to the internet with this issue instead of John. What can I do to fix this situation? Am I being irrational with my demands? Update 9 days later. Things I should have addressed or mentioned in the first post I will put here. First, my husband is adopted, and so is Brian. Because of this, there are a few things that changed their relationship. John was adopted at the age of 3 and does not remember anything other than his adoptive family. However, Brian was adopted at 9 when John was 6. Brian is 6'5" and John is 5'10", and Brian has been bigger than John all of his life. John has talked about how Brian was sexually abused before he was adopted, and that is a reason why his mother and father have always held back. Brian has been bullied, and I do not mean in the older brother's sense, John. John does not talk about it much, but I get the feeling Brian has done some fucked up SHT to him. After I got home from work, John and I talked for a long time, and then we talked the next night and the night after. I discussed with him the stress his family has put on me. He by no means agrees with what his parents are doing or anything Brian has done. He opened up and did say that he felt he was failing a bit. He teared up for a bit when he told me that he wished that he had done more about Brian at the wedding, and that he did not expect me to come with him to his family ever again. He is a very shy guy and does not like conflict. He said that he would find a way for him to go just by himself for Thanksgiving, and that he would just skip Christmas this year altogether. But an important thing I wanted, after reading the comments, was for him to explain to his mother exactly why I was not coming. I do not want Brian to get away with this and expect me to be passive. John, on the first night, was hesitant, to say the least, about the idea. He was afraid of many things if he did that. But the second night, after thinking about it at work, he decided that it was the right thing to do. He is planning to talk to his mother next week. John said he would research counseling and has scheduled a session for us next week before he calls his mother. I am very relieved and have felt much better. I think talking with John really helped and has assured me that John and I are on the same page.